In this lesson, we're going to begin working on the jacket of our character. Alright, so I want to start out by taking a look at our concept really quickly. Looking at the coat, you can see that there are a couple of elements to it. We have the main coat itself, and then we also have this hood, which is a separate piece of garment. It could be a hoodie, sweater, or something like that. We also have this scarf that's in there. But what I want to look at here is the design of the coat. There are a couple of issues that could possibly come up with this design and how that's going to translate into 3D. Creating a puffer coat is not that big of an issue. It's just that the geometry that would have to be created for something like maybe a game character or something like that. We don't want to make this coat to where these individual cells of material are really puffy. We want to keep this jacket looking old, and so what that means is that the material that's inside of those areas, inside of those cells, are probably going to be broken down. It's not going to be as puffy, and we want to try to keep it as cylindrical as possible on the sleeves, and we want to try to keep this information down as flat as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this. First thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we connect the collar to this, and so I want to go ahead and start working on that and then bring all of that together, and then we'll probably start in the next lesson creating all of the details like the individual cells and things like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and go into ZBrush here, and like I said, the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and grab our move brush, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to play around with the collar of this. And so let's bring up the draw size a little bit, and let's hit X to bring up symmetry. And I'm going to pull up the collar of this jacket. I'm actually going to pull it out too. So I really want to pull it up here along the back and the sides. Okay. And then let's pull it forward, trying to keep it as round as possible at first. Okay. And then we can start to kind of flare out the edges. And we just want to make sure that we get the proper proportion set on this. So I'm trying to round this out a little bit more, get it close to the neck. We don't want it to flare out too much. And we definitely don't want it to change the shape of the silhouette of our character. Okay, so that's looking pretty good for right now. So I'm going to come up, right up to here. I'm going to bring my draw size down a little bit more. And we're going to pull these corners out. And I'm just trying to create a collar for this. And if it helps, you can kind of start to smooth that out a little bit. We don't need that ridge quite as much. Also, remember we're working with a double-sided piece of geometry here. And so if you start pulling it around, it's very possible that you could be working on the inside too. So just be careful of that. Make sure that you don't cross polygons and things like that. So just kind of moving it around, smoothing it out some. Okay, so something like that. Always taking a look at your concept, just kind of looking at that. You notice how it's kind of laying down flat. I may want to, let's go ahead and, oops, not 3ds Max, ZBrush. Let's pull this down. And start to get that, and then just kind of smooth it out as we pull that. Okay, and you could go in and you could create your own base mesh if you like with a collar, but I find that this works just fine. Just have to be careful, okay, not crossing polygons too much. Okay, and there we go. So kind of pulling that down, smoothing it out, and I don't want to go too far. And I definitely don't want this to look neat or anything like that. Okay, so go ahead and grab my move brush. Let's make sure that we draw up the brush size on that a little bit more. And I want the back of the collar to be popped up a little bit, because there's going to be other elements. There's going to be a sweater or a hood that comes up over that, and so we just kind of want to make sure we're taking care of that. Now, in the post-apocalyptic world, you know, trying to keep warm or something like that. So, just want to take care of these areas. Okay. All right. So continue shaping if you need to. I think I'm okay with this right now. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to start bringing the rest of this together. Let's take a look at the rest of the coat. Let's take our draw size up, and I want to pull this out away from the body. Okay. And it's going to come out right out in front like that. We want to make sure that we still have the thickness of the coat. And just making sure that we're pulling that out, going all the way around, trying to do this. Pull that out. And we'll continue pulling this out as well. Now, with a coat, you're not going to see quite as much of the human figure. Okay, and so it's going to change the shape a little bit. You need to be prepared for that. Okay, so checking your silhouette, making sure that that looks all right. And I do want a little bit there because the thickness of the coat is going to bring that out as well. So let's go ahead and kind of smooth out these areas a little bit. Kind of bring that up. And then we'll come in and start to pull it down a little bit. Now, looking at our concept really quickly, you see the coat doesn't hang real low, okay, or anything like that, so we're doing pretty good. Just checking some shapes, and I'm coming in, I'm just going to smooth out these edges here, and then start to pull those in closer. Now, I want the coat to be zipped up, and I'm going to bring it in as close as I can, okay, because the symmetry is going to keep it from getting completely together. And I want this kind of right about here. So a nice gradual edge there. And then we'll pull that coat out. Might smooth that out a little bit more. Pull that out there. And there we go. So now we're ready to come in and start working on that. Now, also, you're going to have some issues right here in the sleeves. It's not going to be conformed perfectly to the arms like you see here, so you may smooth that out a little bit. And then may have to do a little bit of movement. I'm going to go ahead and try to keep it just like this. It may conform to the body a little bit more, but as we start to build up and create the shapes that we want out of this, it'll start to work out. We definitely want to get rid of like the shoulder blades, the elbows, any body detail that's in that jacket. Okay, so now that we've got that pretty much set up here, I'm pretty happy with the way this all looks at this point. Go ahead and bring those sleeves down a little bit closer to the wrist. Pretty happy with the way we're set up right now with this. So what I want to do now is I want to start working on some of the different details. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to start marking out the overall design of this jacket, and we'll start filling it out, really starting to make this look like the coat that we see in our concept. So we'll get into that in our next lesson.